What's up, everybody? How are you? Hey, I'm Kevin Colby, and this is a little thing we do called Ask StreamYard, which, well, I've got my shirt on and going to tell you in just a second about how you can be part of this as well. We are so excited you are here. We do this, at least I do this, the first Wednesday of the month. Now, my friend Melanie Diane Howe will be here next week with a whole different question that you asked. And by the way, here's how you can be a part of this. If you have a question and you want maybe to possibly it used as in the show, there's the info right there on the screen. Use hashtag Ask StreamYard, and we may feature on a future episode. If we do feature your question, like the one we have today from a guy named Reggie, Reggie, not Regis, not to be confused with Philbin, then you're going to get a StreamYard t-shirt. Not this one, that'd just be icky. I'd have to wash it and pack it up, and I'm kind of fond of this one. But you will get, if we use your question, you will get a t-shirt from, it says StreamYard on there, Ask StreamYard. So if you have a question in the community, anywhere on the interweb, on social media, and you think, hey, maybe this is a question that might be featured in a show, maybe it's a question that would give me a t-shirt, then use hashtag Ask StreamYard, and we may do that. All right, got a lot of folks checking in. I want to say hi to some folks before we get going here. Clive, Lillian is in the house. Lauren, Toya, hey, is what she said. I love that. Rio197, hey, from Montreal. We've got Bishop. I can't pronounce your last name. I apologize. I don't want to do butcher it. Andrew's in the house. Hubstream. We got Kev, Julie, Crispy. Look at this. They keep asking. Desiree. So excited you guys are here. And by the way, if you have any questions today, drop them in the comments. And if we have time, we'll get to it. Today we are talking about how to reduce microphone feedback. Let me know in the comments. Have you ever been in one of those situations where you start hearing the feedback and it's like, and you're like, I can't hear. My ears are bleeding. I've been in those situations where I'm like, oh, dear Lord, please don't let this be the last sound I ever hear on this earth. Have you ever heard that? I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. And you know what? Here's the kicker. It's very easy to overcome it. Now, and you're like, well, how? Well, today I'm going to share 6 tips. I did this. 6 tips about how you can reduce microphone and audio feedback when you're live streaming. Because look, ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. And if we haven't met, my name is Kevin Colby, and I'm all about helping creatives and creators just do more with their gifts so they can make an impact in the world with video. That's why we are here today. People are already dropping things in. Somebody's saying impeccable timing for this. Somebody's saying they can't get their mic open. We'll talk about that too. So there's a lot of things you can do to reduce streaming. I mean, to reduce streaming. We don't want to reduce streaming. A lot of things you can do to reduce microphone audio feedback. Now, let me just kind of define what that is. It's really simple. It's not like a high-tech thing, but basically it's when the microphone is picking up sounds from the speakers and maybe even other microphones, and it creates this loop. And this is about as technical as I'm going to get. And it just creates this feedback. And now you've probably even heard things like maybe an echo. So like if you've been interviewing somebody maybe on your channel, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or whatever, and we are live streaming to Facebook and YouTube for Ask StreamYard. But if you've done that before, you may hear like maybe your voice coming in maybe a second or two behind over the other person's speaker. And what we're going to talk about today can actually help with that. But you've probably also seen maybe live events or be at live events where there's just this crazy feedback. And one of the things I've noticed is what people immediately do if they're holding a mic, they put it down. They put it like down toward the source of the speaker, and it's like, no, stop that. So that's some of the That's some of the things that we're going to talk about. Again, if you have any questions or anything like that, just drop them in the comment, and if we have time, we'll get to it. Excellent, dude. What a great name. I like that. Rudy's in there. We already got people asking NLTMW. Yeah, it happens many times. Somebody is saying, and it does. So let's jump into the tips about how to reduce feedback when you're live streaming with a microphone. Tip number 1, keep your mic away from speakers. Now, I don't mean people speaking. That's not what I mean. But one way to reduce it is to make sure you don't have the mic pointed at a speaker. That happens a lot of times. But you also don't want to be like broadcasting right in front of the speaker. Now, you can't see my setup, but my mic is right here, and we're going to talk about that. That's one of the tips here in just a second. And my speakers are off to the side. Now, I don't have anybody on right now. I don't have any music playing or something like that. So I'm not really worried about feedback here. But let's say you're live streaming at an event, or you're live streaming an event. You want to make sure the microphone stays away from the speaker. So you may have to get creative in the placement. You may have to move the speakers, because that will cause feedback. And a lot of times, like I mentioned it earlier, you've probably seen it where it starts to feed back, and immediately people start moving the microphone away, which just increases it. So one of the tips is keep your microphone away from the speakers. Another tip: wear headphones. Now, you may be saying, Kevin, because that's my name, you don't have headphones on. And you're right, I don't. Now, the type of headphone I don't think is that important. This is another thing. So like, I have a couple of pair of headphones. I have these. They're Bose. I'll be honest, I got them on sale at Best Buy at the end of the year. They were reduced. I'm like, hey, I'll buy those puppies. These are Bluetooth, but they also have a cord with them, which is something I would consider doing as a little bonus tip, and was inside a tip. Is that a meta tip? Not sure what that would be. But I would be careful about using like wireless headphones that go over Bluetooth or something like that, because then if the connection goes out, so that's why I've got a wire for these. Now, I'll be honest, these are great headphones, but the cord is about this long, so I actually got an extension for it. Now, what I use most of the time are these from, it's called Me. It's MEE. And what I like about them is they literally can go over my ear, clip them on, and then it's clear, so you don't see them, and then the cord goes down the back, and I can plug it into my mic. I use these all the time. In fact, I've actually been on live streams before, and people say, wow, he's not wearing headphones. And probably because of my hair, and they're here, and they're going around the back and down the back of my back. You can't see them. These are very inexpensive. I believe these were like $19. I don't remember. The kind is not important. So what I would recommend is wear headphones. Don't worry about spending a ton of money. I would recommend, though, that you plug the mic, you plug the earphone or the earbuds, whatever you want to say, into the mic. Now, I know a lot of folks wear, I'm an iPhone user. I don't use the earbuds. They don't fit my ears. They just got tiny little ear holes or whatever they are, and they don't fit. So I always use the wired one. But that is a way to reduce it. So, true story. The other day, I was producing a live stream video for a group of guys, and they decided 2 or 3 of them would sit in the same room. And I said, this is going to cause an issue. We're going to hear feedback. We're going to hear echo. And sure enough, we did. And none of them had headphones. Some were using their phones, some were using their laptops. But the problem is that the host, the moderator, was picking all that up. And we ended up literally having to move them to different rooms just because it got to be unwieldy, as they say. Gonna check in on the comments here. Livestream Labs behind the ear hidden headphones are the best live, in my humble opinion. I do like them. They fit so comfortably. And the other thing about these is, I don't know if you can see it here. It probably won't focus, but this wire kind of conforms to my ear. So when I put them in and bend them over, I can pull it tight, and it's just nice. And they sit there. And again, the clip, there's even a clip I can clip on my shirt. I'm not that coordinated to do it. I plug right into my mic. Again, I use that whenever I'm having a guest on. If like one of you were on live with me right now, I would have those in, and it's a good thing to reduce it. So again, we're talking about reducing feedback in audio, right? Well, ask your guests to please wear headphones, please, because what happens is, think about this. If you don't have them, you're going to have your speakers turned up so you can hear me. And that's where the feedback can come and stuff like that. Now, here's what's really cool about StreamYard. In StreamYard, there's a setting. I don't know if you knew this. I want to show it to you. It's this right here. It's in settings. You go to audio, and you have the option of turning echo cancellation on or off. Now, I leave mine on, and what echo cancellation does is it actually adds some audio processing. It adds echo cancellation and noise suppression and audio gain. So typically I just leave mine on, and because a lot of times when I'm doing live stream like this, I'm just solo. And I'm not using it, so I just think it's kind of silly to put the headphones on if I don't need them. If I were out in public, that would be different, noisy place. This is a phenomenal feature that comes with StreamYard that is great if you're in a noisy place and maybe you can't even get the microphone as close to you. That'll help. Now, StreamYard will recommend, though, that if you have a fantastic mic, like I think this is a great mic. You tell me, how do you think this mic sounds? This is not an expensive mic. I don't believe in buying expensive gear if you don't need it. Sometimes you do, but this is an inexpensive mic. But there's a recommendation that if you have a very expensive mic, you're using headphones, maybe you have guests on, you don't have to click that on. But how you find it, you go to settings, you go to audio, and you'll see it right there. Again, mine stays on, but if you don't want it on, you just turn it off. Rio 197 says, greed, Kevin, wired headphones. Where'd you go? I lost it. Here we go. Wired headphones are so much better for streaming than wireless ones. Yeah. Again, you have to do what you're comfortable with. I use a wireless keyboard and a wireless mouse. And every once in a while, I'm on the MacBook Pro M1. And every once in a while, the Bluetooth just hiccups. And when it does, I lose connection. And it happened the other day on one of my live streams on my channel. And I just stayed on the graphic for a few minutes until it would reconnect. But I do think there are times to go hardwired. Like this mic I'm using is connected via USB straight into a hub, a dock station that my computer's plugged into. So it's got constant power. I'm not worried about it going out. Now, I have live streamed before with wireless microphones via HDMI out of my camera. You can do that, but just know that anything wireless has to be charged at some point, and you could run into interference. Toya is saying you sound great, Kevin. Francesca, Mike sounds great. I appreciate that. In case you wonder, it usually comes up. This is a Samsung Q2U mic. It has a USB and an XLR output, and it's like under $70 on Amazon. There you go. All right, so let's get back to how to reduce it. Tip number 3: speak into your mic. Speak into your mic. Now, this may sound silly, and you go, "Well, I know to do that." But here's the thing. It's if you are live streaming, let's say an event, and you have different people there. One of the things I've noticed, I'll use my pen. This is a microphone. It's not. It's a pen in case you're keeping score. But one of the things I see people do is you hand them a mic and they go, "Well, I don't need the mic." Again, then they point it away and you hear the, and everybody goes nuts. But this would be better than this. If I'm way back here talking, it's harder to hear me. It's even harder to see me, right? Get the mic closer to your mouth. The closer it is, now, I see people do this. Actually, years ago, I was in radio. We had a DJ, excuse me for the sound. He rested his mouth against the microphone, which was really nasty whenever I followed him on air. It's like, dude, I was like Lysol all over that. Anyway, but speak into the mic, get closer to the mic. Now, let's talk a little bit about mic positioning, right? This mic, if you notice, is slightly angled up to my mouth. Now, I'm in my home studio office. It's not that big, so I can control the sound. I've got the door shut. Now, again, I work out of my home, so if the dog barks, the dog's going to bark, right? But this is where I typically keep it. It's closer to my mouth. It's aimed to my mouth. Now, you've possibly seen people use booms where the booms come up and point down. But if you ever can see a wide shot, the boom is going to be as close to your mouth, as close to your head as possible. And then there's certain kinds of mics, which we're going to get into in just a second, that can help as well. So what I'm not a fan of, and I see people do this, is they put the mic down, under, and point up. And the issue I have with that is when the microphone is coming up, guess where it's going to go? I mean, you're going to get all this up here. So the closer you can get the mic to your mouth, the best. Pop in here a little bit more. Rochelle saying great tips. I'm glad to hear that. And what's the model of your mic? This mic is, we just shared that, is a Samsung, not a Samsung. It's SAMSON Q2U. Phenomenal mic. It looks a little bit like the Audio Technica ATR 2100, which I also have. I changed this one, but it's a very good mic. Very good mic. So, all right. Tip number 4, a way to reduce feedback is turn off all additional mics. So let's say you're live streaming an event, a program, or whatever, and there's other speakers. Now, I think something I want to add to this is use a mic. And actually, we're going to get to that in just a second. Someone jumped the gun. But if you have other people in there and everybody's got their mics on at the same time, you're going to have a lot of feedback. You're going to have echo. So what you want to do is make sure either one of two things can happen. Excuse me. You either want to have people turning their mics off, which if you get into that, then you can't control the mic. So let's say if I had 3 guests on right now and I've told Bob to turn his mic off ahead of time, and when I go to him, then I go, hey, Bob, turn your mic on. So you could do that, or you turn all the mics off. Now, in StreamYard, it's really easy when you have different guests in there. I can actually turn mics on and off. So I would probably just tell people to leave their mics on, and then I'll turn them off or turn them on and off. That's one way. But let's say you've got a lot of different sources coming in. I don't use one of these, but you might want to invest in a soundboard where you're bringing all the mics in, and then you have one output into your computer or wherever your main source is for your live stream. And then that way you're turning the mics on and off. But the more mics you have and the more mics turned on, you're going to get more feedback and more echo and more things like that. And again, that's just something you got to think about. Now, let's think about a concert. So, if you've been to a concert ever, it doesn't matter, bar or whatever, you will see a soundboard, and they're bringing all the mics, all the guitars, all the instruments into a board, and they're mixing that out. So it's an investment. You have to decide this, but you may decide that you want to invest in a soundboard. Now, when I say soundboard, they can make little bitty ones that, you only need 2 mic inputs in. They make them that will run a USB mic. They make them that'll run an XLR. But that is a suggestion to turn the mics off. Tip number 5, use a directional mic. Now, what do I mean by that? So if you're not sure, think about it this way. A directional mic directs the sound. It does. So if this if you think about it, is a directional mic, because it is picking up the sound in the direction of the voice. Now, does anybody have a Blue Yeti? I actually love the Blue Yeti. I've got one back there on my shelf. I use it more as a prop, but it's a great mic. There's going to be people tell you that they're crap mics. I don't believe they are. I think they're really good mics. You just have to know how to use them. But one of the settings on there is called omnidirectional, and there's different phrases. So if you have a mic that picks up the room, you may have seen these graphs, then guess what? You're going to get all the room noise, which can add to feedback. It can make it just noisy. It can be echoey. So make sure you either have a directional mic like this, or it's at least pointed directly at your mouth. Now, you can also use a lav. Can't go wrong with lav. I'm a huge fan of Rode. I have a Rode lav. I have the Rode Wireless Go and Go 2, which is I would highly recommend. But you can clip that right here. You can even hide it under your shirt. You can hook a lav mic into it. And, again, a lav mic, you can't go wrong with. And you could plug a lav mic right into a soundboard, or you could plug it right into your computer as well. Or my camera has a clean HDMI out. So if I have a mic hooked up to my camera, and I've done this before, where I've used a Rode mic clipped up there, and I've used the other Rode mic, and it just brings the sound right with it through the HDMI cable hooked up. So that's not bad either, but a directional mic. So when you're looking for a mic, see if it's a directional mic, because if it's not, you're going to pick up a lot of extra sound, and you're going to get into the feedback and everything. And so here's another tip: add soundproofing. Now, I realize that this may not be an option, but here's the thing: you can actually do inexpensive soundproofing. I mean, in reality, a lot of different things are soundproofing. Like, you can't see it here, but I have a window in my my office studio that if I'm just editing or writing or whatever, doing business, I keep the curtain open because I like the light, right? But for things like this, I shut it so I can control the light. So what I did, actually, my wife, is I bought some really thick, it's upholstery cloth. So it's thick, but it's really cool. It's got this cool texture. And she made a curtain. And so that actually gives me some sound dampening over to the side. Then I went to Amazon and I bought just these inexpensive foam squares. You've probably seen them. They've got ridges, I think 1 or 2 inches, and they're stuck on the wall in front of me. And that has helped reduce the sound here. Now, you can go crazy expensive on sound panels, and they can get very expensive. And it may be that you can't control that. It may be wherever you're live streaming from, you can't do that. But you can hang blankets. You can do some different things. Again, is it always feasible? Maybe not. Maybe not, but that is a way that you can reduce the echo and reduce the feedback too. So let's hop in the comments here and see what we got going on here. We got a bunch of new comments coming in. Karender's saying hi. They have a Tascam soundboard with a Rode pod mic. The Rode pod mics are really, really good. Somebody's saying good tips. Tom Smith, what causes audio video sync problems and how to deal with it? The lag on the system. There's a slight but noticeable delay between your audio and video. There shouldn't be any audio delay on mine. I don't know what to tell you. A lot of times that can be internet, even though I'm hardwired. I am streaming in 1080p, but I've heard USB microphones can have that. I'll be honest, when I watch these back, if the lag is there, it's just very intermittent, and you may have that sometimes. And guys, it may depend on where you're live streaming from. It may just too. I have recorded video before, taken it in a Final Cut, and slid the audio a little. It's just one of those things. We got Jacko Van Dyke saying, hey, from Worcester, South Africa. How you doing? Are condenser mics directional? Yes, they can be. You just need to read the definition. So like if you go on Amazon and you look for this mic, it's going to say dynamic mic. And all dynamic is a fancy word meaning electronic, from what I know, and it just goes right in there. So those are some things that you want to do there. Somebody's saying lag is bit rate. It could be also that too. A lot of things like that you can't control. It can be a factor of your environment, your equipment, your gear, the internet, and things like that. But what you can control are things like we were talking about, and the tips of like keeping your mic, closer to your mouth and keeping it away from speakers, using a directional mic. If you have other mics around you, turn those mics off. And if you have to, get a soundboard or something like that, or get another producer to be doing that. So maybe you're doing a live stream and somebody's producing it for you. Just tell them, hey, make sure the mics are off when I'm not talking. And then also, when you're in you can EQ mics as well, but make sure you got echo cancellation on as well. And I showed you that. I'll show you that one more time because I don't want you to miss that. But in StreamYard, that's how you get to it in your settings. You go to settings, audio, echo cancellation. And again, I leave mine on. I find it safer. And then also soundproofing. Soundproofing may be in a little bit of an extreme. And if it's one of those things, I get that. I get that. So you may not want that. So I hope these tips have helped you. Did I miss one? Is there a tip I should have thrown in there? If so, drop it down in the comments, even on playback, add to the community, say, hey, what about this tip? And what about this tip? Or ask questions and things like that. And remember, if you have a question, oh, you know what? I apologize. Here's where the question came from. I completely forgot to give credit to Regis Augustus Williams. He's the one. Look, just because I forgot it, don't give Regis heat. This is on me, all right? But this was the question that sparked this episode. Oops, there we go. Hi, folks. I use 2 mobile phones to live stream a funeral, but if the person using the phone gets too close to each other, there is feedback. How do I fix that? So again, Regis, my apologies for not highlighting you and your question at the beginning. You are getting a StreamYard t-shirt for asking that and using the hashtag Ask StreamYard. So one of the ways that we've done that is what we talked about, is get the phones away from each other. Turn one of the phones off. Now, if you reduce the sound on there, you're going to reduce the sound on the mic. So there's different things you can do. You could also just use the same phone. It really depends on how you're doing this. Again, you can't go wrong with an external mic. So in Regis's case, if he'd had an option, put external mics on the phones. I mean, you can use the Rode mics on these. You can use a lav in here. Rode, again, I'm a Rode fan, but they make a Rode Smart Lav you plug right into there. It's got a very short cord and you clip it on. Things like that will definitely help, but stay away from the speakers, stay away from, the other mics and things like that. You want to try as much as you can to control everything you're doing. So busting through these again. Keep your mic away from speakers, audio speakers, not the people that are speaking. Wear headphones. Speak into the mic. Turn off all additional mics. You may want to use a soundboard. Use a directional mic. And if you're not sure before you buy the mic, just read and see how they describe it. Or if you already have a mic, just Google it and see what it says. And add soundproofing. And I realize that one may not be the best option. But my friend Melanie Diane Howe will be here next week with another Ask StreamYard. And whenever you have a question, if you want a shot at maybe your question being used on the show, then use the hashtag Ask StreamYard. And if, just like today, we use your question like we did with Regis, even though I used it too late in the show, then we're going to send you a free shirt. Look, I really appreciate you being here. I am Kevin Colby. Have a great today and keep creating.